Let's dive straight into today's pre-market macro explainer, breaking down the critical morning setup for active traders.
Here's the bottom line. We're seeing a massive tug-of-war right now between overnight geopolitical shocks and domestic data.
Equity futures are facing a direct clash. Bearish geopolitical tensions versus weak data lowering 2027 rate hike odds. Overnight, that U.S Iran skirmish really hit market sentiment, pressuring equity futures and instantly spiking crude oil prices.
But suddenly, weak domestic data sparked a swift futures recovery by shifting those long-term rate hike expectations.
So, what exactly did this data drop reveal? Let's break down the critical PCE and personal income reports.
April personal income growth literally flatlined at 0%, completely missing that 0.5% consensus estimate.
Notice this wild imbalance. Income completely stalled, but month-over-month personal spending actually rose 0.5%.
Meanwhile, inflation is heating up. Core PCE accelerated to 3.3% year-over-year, ticking higher from March. This exact combo of flat income and rising core PCE introduces serious stagflation risks into the macro picture. Let's shift to growth metrics and see how those Q1 GDP downward revisions build on this complex narrative. The second estimate for Q1 GDP was revised sharply downward to just 1.6% annualized. This downward revision was primarily driven by much weaker consumer and investment spending than previously estimated. On the labor front, both initial and continuing jobless claims saw slight, unexpected increases for the week. However, the data emphasizes that the absolute level of these jobless claims still remains relatively low overall. So how exactly did the Treasury market digest the Iran skirmish and this morning's stagflationary data drop?
Yields track this volatility perfectly, dropping on Iran concerns, spiking early, then retreating on that soft economic data.
With stagflation risks and geopolitical crosscurrents aggressively colliding, how are you positioning your book for the open?